Well, hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to today's edition of the Strictly Muscles Chronicles. Appreciate you taking the time to watch. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for leaving a thumbs up, and thank you for leaving comments. Especially like the one last week that somebody wrote, at second 10, they really like my boobs. I've been doing a couple more push-ups lately, so they are looking pretty large. I thought 5 minutes was the best, but I digress. My name is Martin. I'm a personal trainer, nutrition coach, and muscle activation technique specialist in Chicago. And I've put together these chronicles to share exercise, nutrition, and mindset tips to help us all persevere well during the COVID-19 pandemic. And I've found that my purpose is really about helping guide people to more resilient mental and physical lives. And I feel and I believe that in order to do that, nutritious eating, appropriate exercise, and healthy habits are all part of living that life of purpose and resilience. Nutrition this week is a bit of a review week. We're going to go ahead and focus on doing slightly better with our habits that we've talked about over the previous weeks. And the goal here is to execute them better or to implement them more often. So as a review, the habits that we've built up over the last month are one, journaling when you're eating, not so much what you're eating, but when you're eating your meals and your snacks. Two, when eating your meals till 80% full, satisfied but not stuffed. And a couple ways that you can implement those are by eating slower, eliminating distractions while you're eating, or some sort of combination of the two. We talked about awareness of hunger, fullness, and satisfied cues. So pay attention to how your body feels when you're hungry, when it's full, when you're just perfectly satisfied. And then finally, talked about using your hand to determine the size of your portions for your proteins, your vegetables, your carbohydrates, and your fat. A quote that I have that I hope will motivate everybody on this is from Precision Nutrition. Only consistent, repeated, focused action creates change and growth. The key thing there is that action or implementation or execution. So taking these habits and getting slightly better than you were the week before. That's your goal this week. Time for exercise. Today, I'm covering a chest fly variation. Now, why am I doing this? The whole reason for me doing this is because I see on social media a lot of people who exercise putting the dumbbell chest fly out there as an exercise you should be doing right now. And in my opinion, it is not an exercise you should ever do because of the impact that it puts on, the impact it has on the shoulder and the amount of risk versus reward you'd have. But I didn't want to just say, hey, don't do it. I want to give you a variation of how to have that motion in your exercise and when to apply it or how to apply it. Now, the chest fly variation that I'm going to show you is going to be done with the tube. I'm going to show you a seated version. I'm going to show you a lying version. Some capabilities that we want to have to check before on this is, first, your trunk extension. So we've been doing this a couple times. That's my trunk extension. Second thing is my shoulder retraction, where you're bringing your shoulder blades together. Okay, I can do that. So you kind of put those things together, and it creates this pretty steep angle with my chest. That's what I'm really looking for in order to challenge my chest muscles more. Second thing, or the third thing, is bringing your arm up here. Okay, I can do that. So those are some capabilities that you want to check. Now, position, I've already said, we're going to do a seated, a lying version. Seated and the standing version are very similar. Now, equipment, I mentioned a tube rather than a dumbbell. If you're curious about why that is, put a comment in. I'd be happy to explain it to you. Then where we're going to place this tube? I'm going to place it at your elbow again. I'm going to show that here in a moment. Why? If our goal here is to build up our chest muscles, putting it in the hand, other than being more stress on the shoulder, is also incorporating the elbow and incorporating the wrist, which means you're dissipating your challenge. Instead of being really focused through here, you're going to now need to have all the muscles that control your elbow and your wrist involved. So if I put it at the elbow, I can make it a more focused challenge. That's the goal. So to perform the exercise in a seated position, what you do is, let's have your tube here. Let's first put it at your elbow. Secondly, I want you to go ahead and lift your chest or arch your back as much as you can and pull your shoulder blade back into the middle. Bring your arm up. So I'm starting parallel to the ground. The tube is perpendicular to my arm. I'm going to move my arm out to the side and then squeeze it into the middle. Look at that. What's that look like? Looks like you're doing a chest press or push-up. The difference is where the resistance is coming from. Instead of having resistance here, going back to what I would say is not an appropriate exercise for your shoulder, if you had a dumbbell and it was pushing me backwards, well, that would be a lot of challenge or stress on that shoulder. But how I've set this up in a seated version, and I'm going to do an aligned version here quickly, is you don't have much stress on that shoulder. And then when I come in, now you've got more muscles in line with that arm to make it a more effective exercise for the chest. And that's what I want to do here. Now, lion version of it, I'm just going to adjust some things for you and show you. But due to sound quality, I'll probably just be quiet here. I do hope that by seeing the two versions here and me talking through body position, where to apply it, how to execute the exercise, gives you an idea of how to implement the chest fly into your routine in a way that is more appropriate for your joints, your shoulder joints. Okay, because that's the goal here too, is to be able to exercise for life. If you do an exercise that shreds your joints, you're not going to be able to exercise. So my goal with this particular day was to do my best at conveying to you a way to do that exercise, the chest fly, challenge the chest, but by being safe on the shoulders. If you have any questions, please reach out to me at strictlymuscles.net. Be happy to help you create an exercise program that is custom fit for you and your abilities. All right, I've got a quote for you today from Craig Ballantyne. Craig Ballantyne was a guest on a podcast that I listened to, and this podcast was actually produced back in like 2015, but I listened to it back in February. And he said this: control what you can, cope with what you can't, and concentrate on what counts. He attributed that essentially to Epictetus, and he has his business is like the 3 C's. So it's that control what you can, cope with what you can, and concentrate on what counts. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because it's very natural for all of us. We're watching the news and we're like, man, I'm going to shake my fist at that. Or, oh, that person's essential. Well, what about me? I'm essential. Yeah, but I have to stay at home. What the heck? And within seconds, I catch myself just going, you know what? Hey, I can't control that. You know what? I just got to cope with it. And that's what I encourage everybody to do. It's natural to have those thoughts, so don't feel bad about having them. Just have a way to go, okay, let's be constructive about it rather than dwelling on it.